Good morning, everyone. New York City's housing authority is the largest housing authority in North America, overseeing 328 developments in all 5 boroughs. Now, many of these housing units have fallen in terrible disrepair in recent years, and they've been havens for crime. But under the leadership of its current chair and CEO, Shola Olatoye, things are a-changing. We're pleased to welcome to PIX 11 News Close-Up, the chairman of the New York City Housing Authority.
Thank you, Marv.
Good to have you in with us. Now, so many years of neglect. We've been hearing, we had so many reports on our news reports of people complaining about disrepair, ceilings leaking, elevators not working. What is being done to turn all this around? Right.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And you know, you're absolutely right that the Housing Authority has, for the past really 30 years, has really been a real challenge in terms of basic maintenance and repairs. But it also reflects, I think, the unfortunate reality that the federal government has stopped investing in public housing. And what has been so remarkable about the de Blasio administration is that this mayor has brought the issue of public housing squarely into his focus for a better and more equitable New York, and has invested more resources in the Housing Authority really since our creation. So we are focused very singularly on becoming a better and more efficient landlord.
Now, you've come out with a whole vision for the next 10 years, and you say you have the funds to back it up. What specifically, what can you tell the some 400,000 people living in public housing how things are going to get better?
Sure. Well, first of all, we have a plan that will help us address the more than $17 billion capital need that we face, which is what we would need to get the more than 178,000 units into a state of good working repair today. We have some very important resources from the city to help us do that. But residents have seen plans and chairs come and go, and what they want to see is a real change in the their daily life.
They're entitled to that.
Absolutely. And so we are doing a couple things. One, how do we, through a new initiative called Fix It Forward, how do we get repairs done faster? How do we ensure that residents don't have to make multiple calls to get very simple basic maintenance repairs done? How do we ensure that issues at the local level are actually addressed at the local level? And we're actually starting to see some very positive, data on that. That is not to say that we don't have major challenges in the repairs issue. More than half of our buildings are 50 years old. And you know what? New York City has old buildings, but New York City is invested in those buildings. Our buildings haven't been invested in, and the proper preventative maintenance hasn't been done. So we are starting with a significant challenge, and we think Next Generation NYCHA and this administration have a very clear plan and vision for it.
As we can see in this video, I mean, look at the situation in many of these homes, how people can live here. They're unlivable. They have been unlivable conditions. So you say they're going to be more rapid responses. That's because in the past, the complaints fell on deaf ears. So now, what can you tell them that they have the assurances that you're listening and they're going to get immediate response?
Well, I'm glad you said listening, because from my first day on the job 15 months ago, I started by listening. I visited more than 90 developments across the city, listening to both residents, employees, and community leaders and elected officials to both not only hear the challenges that they are experiencing, but to let them know that someone is listening. My grandmother lived in public housing. I have a very clear sense of what it's like to live and raise families in public housing. And so what we have to be focused on very singularly is how do we become a better landlord? And that means doing some things differently. It means actually showing up when we say we're going to show up. It means also residents have to pay rent. It means that there has to be a collective responsibility for our children in these developments. And I think, you know, what has been so, I think, refreshing of this administration is that NYCHA has for so long been left to manage all of these challenges on its own. And for the first time, we have a citywide response that has involved multiple city agencies to address not only operations, but the real social service needs of our population.
Now, we talk about those repairs, the maintenance, but also there has to be repair on the management end.
Right.
Because in years past, there's been so much mismanagement and even corruption. What has been done to change that, to turn that around?
Right. Well, first of all, I think, again, you have a mayor who has put public housing in NYCHA at the center of his administration. And so I meet weekly with the mayor and the deputy mayor and appointed by the mayor. One. Two, we have a team in place who are experienced professionals, both who have been at NYCHA for some time, as well as bringing in newcomers. And more importantly, we have held ourselves accountable to the standard of here are the goals, and here's how we're going to measure ourselves against those goals. So within the first 90 days of being on the job, I created something called NYCHA metrics, which, you know, for so long people have said it's so hard to get information out of NYCHA. You guys are off. You're not sharing information. I said put it out there, put it online, and so that is something that we hold the value of transparency incredibly. It's very important. We live stream our board meetings now, and you know I've met with more than probably half of my staff through a series of staff meetings and coffees with the chair to both sort of peel back the walls that have for so long, I think, kind of been used to not be clear about, hey, we got some big problems here. But I think the real what residents want to hear is an acknowledgement of the truth and a very clear plan of how we're going to address it. We didn't get here overnight.
How have you attacked the problem of crime? I mean, these housing developments have been havens for crime.
Right. Well, look, first of all, you know, I leave the policing issues to the professionals, and we have a very good partnership with our colleagues at the NYPD. But more importantly, this mayor has through his safety initiative, has invested in not only more cops on the beat, but more lighting, more extended programs. So for this summer, for the second summer actually, community centers are open until midnight. We have lighting that literally brings light into NYCHA, really removing the dark corners where criminals.
There's also been an issue of surveillance cameras.
Well, you know, I'm really happy you mentioned that, because I'm really pleased to say we have both last year completed and installed all of the cameras at the 57 developments on time, and we are on pace to do the same in the 32 developments at the end of this year. So look, cameras are one part of the issue. You have to have police officers, and more importantly, you need to have residents who are engaged in keeping their communities safe.
Now, this past week you did something else. You enable a lot of people to get on the social media and catch up with the current generation on the internet. You've wired a number of developments, giving about 16,000 people an opportunity to get wired.
Really excited. Actually, just this morning stood with the mayor and the secretary of HUD announcing an initiative that the Obama administration has launched called Connect Home, which seeks to bring broadband access to more than 16,000 public housing residents. Look, you know, digital access is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. And NYCHA residents are like every other New Yorker and deserve to have access to it, and we're so excited to be a part of this initiative.
So what you're saying is, out of despair, you're bringing hope.
We're trying.
400,000 people.
For 400,000 people, it is something that is going to take a generation. It's a long time, but we believe that we have a plan, and we have a mayor who's ensure that we can actually do it.
The CEO, President of the New York City Housing Authority, Shola Olataye. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you back here on News Close-Up.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be with New York's public advocate,